What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? I'm Mr. Rad. This is my buddy Perry. We're in Perry's garage, not the Rad Workshop, and we're working on another best color ever Mazda RX-8. This is Nordic Green. Currently, few issues we're trying to diagnose with this car that might be very relatable to one of you guys' cars, or at least if you're trying to buy a used RX-8 that doesn't run or has some issues, and we're going to try to diagnose that here in the video. So, the car's been running perfect for, Perry said, the last year.
Yeah.
And then a few months ago, it started acting up on him. So if you want to just kind of explain, what did it do on the way home from work?
So on the way home from work, it just started idling. Usually it idles right about 1100 RPM. And about a quarter mile down the road, it just started running and idling at 700 and really felt like it was running on one rotor at idle. And then once you get it, you know, once it's going, once you're driving, it seems pretty fine. But it's just hard to drive a car when it's just all over in the rev range. So.
For sure. And it still starts up fine. Everything
starts up fine.
Awesome.
Everything, but once it warms up, and that's usually when it starts sounding pretty bad. So.
Okay. So at the end of the video, we'll do a compression test just to see what this engine's making. But to start out, really, I'm going to fire this thing up and listen to it and just kind of see if we can hear any weird noises. And then I have an assortment of different things we're going to try, kind of diagnose on the car here today, see if we can't get it running a bit cleaner. And it's not throwing any codes, right?
Nope,
or anything
no codes.
out of the ordinary?
Nope.
So right off the rip, you know, my first impression is going to be, you guys changed the injectors, right? I believe a while ago.
Yeah, we got new injectors.
Different ignition coils on, I think we were kind of talking. So we're going to start with the ignition side and see if we can find anything weird. See if it's like maybe just a loose MAF sensor, some other connection that's loose, and just do a little once over the engine bay. So let's fire this thing up and see what it's doing. All right, so it's got a little bit of a misfire I can hear, and they can probably hear it or see it from the back of the car. Interesting. It really doesn't rev like it has any sort of engine compression issue. It just, I bet it's ignition or something. And if you drove it for a year since you put the injectors in it, right? So a common thing when people are swapping injectors in these cars, the wires are very poorly labeled and they all reach everything. So it's very easy to get a secondary injector like plugged in with the wrong plug.
Yeah.
So, but you would have noticed that right away if that was wrong. So I really don't think it's that. Curious what the exhaust smells like though. If it just smells real rich. Is it like catless resonated stuff?
Yeah, the cat's been cut out of it.
I mean, it doesn't smell abnormally off from what it should.
Yeah. And that misfire, the only time, like it was when I had your coil packs in there, it really didn't have that misfire. It was with the LS ones when I put them in.
Doing it?
Yeah.
And you do have Versatuner on the car, so it doesn't have a tune for LS coils, it's just like a stock style.
Yeah, right. We flashed it back to the stock tune.
Okay, all right, cool. Sometimes people will get in and change dwell settings and try to optimize a car for LS. I don't really think it makes that big of a difference switching back and forth between the coils, but just for us to eliminate a variable of what could be different, it's good to know that we're on a stock dwell setting tune. So I brought another set of stock coils, and I think we'll probably just start with coils and plugs and see if that cleans it up and kind of go from there. But MAF sensor feels nice and tight. Doesn't really feel like any vacuum leaks or anything. Nice, you got an underdrive water pump pulley. It's such an interesting idle situation.
Yeah.
Because it's still idling like pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound engine. And like it could just be too like a dirty MAF sensor.
I cleaned it.
You did already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I cleaned it on Sunday.
And that didn't have any change at all? Zero? Okay.
Not that I could tell.
Because ultimately, a On the RX8s, there's really no like intake solenoid situation that should be happening at idle. All that stuff is gonna pull power up top or do something weird. And the fact that it like revs clean, not really thinking it's a fuel pressure issue, because like if it has enough fuel pressure for you to rev it, then it should idle okay. You know what I mean? So let's pull some plugs and take a look at it. I guess while I'm here pulling these plugs out, I could just go ahead and do the compression test and see what it. And how long have you been running it?
For
these got put in and you've just started it or tried to drive it around? These don't have much runtime?
Oh no, those have
it's a little black.
2.5 miles.
Okay.
I mean, that's driving. I mean, I've probably started it 10 times.
Yeah. It's definitely running a little rich on the plug side of things.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's not too stoked at idle.
Yeah, it was.
And I've got some new coils I want to put on if the compression test here doesn't tell us really what's going on. So, because the other thing, I guess, you could have one of these plug wires backwards too, but I kind of doubt that.
Yeah, I double checked those.
They just feel a little long, like it'd be easy to mix them up.
Yeah.
All right. All the plug wires are off, and we'll put the compression tester on it just to see what's up.
Yep.
Or depression test. Rotor 1. Ooh, less than ideal. So we got 23, 92, 85. We got one hole down, so that's not good. We'll run it again once these cycle back through. 20, 81, 75. $78, 81, 20. Some depression results right there. So that misfire is probably coming from this one hole that's down on compression. So usually if you're missing one hole, just one, it's probably like a side seal or something like that might have gotten broken. You think about this, if you break an apex seal, you're gonna have two holes that are down because an apex seal divides two compression chambers in your engine. So we'll go ahead and test the front one. Well, I'm betting that this is your issue. If that was like 60 PSI, you wouldn't notice that misfire until you're like on the chip, you know, up at high RPM. And I mean, 78 and 81, it's corrected to 95, 98. But a sudden change of power delivery definitely would be reflected by losing a hole of compression. And you probably don't really notice it, you know, revving up because, you know, the force of spinning is going to suck all the seals out, or, you know, in this case, a side seal, I guess that wouldn't change that much. But one hole down probably wouldn't make that big of a difference. But let's check the front. All right, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had a guess.
So one of the things I always say on my, you know, the YouTube channel is like, how can you tell if a rotary engine is like healthy without a compression tester? So I pulled the plug out. Let's listen to what this sounds like, okay? Without, you know, one hole down, two good holes. You'll hear the whoosh, 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 whoosh. You'll hear a gap in it. So just for the sake of science. So you can kind of hear that there's like one little spot that's just a little bit down in that versus a nice, clean, even sound the whole way across. So for science, for you guys buying used RX8s, keep that in mind. Didn't you say that did it come with another engine?
Yeah.
It did?
It's sitting down at work on a pallet. I know it's not painted, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's a 60,000 mile engine. I'm not too sure. He didn't know either, so.
That'd be the only thing that's going to suck about this one is like most likely, if this engine's been apart and been rebuilt, it's not going to be able to be rebuilt again.
Yeah, so when the two owners ago finally reached out to me, he said, yeah, the engine was rebuilt by some shop. It's like, or some engine rebuilder, and it's like, I've never heard of them. They're nowhere online. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wasn't too sure if he even knew what was going on with it. So, you know, it was just one of those things. He told me it had 15,000 miles on the engine, so.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is like some people's version of an engine rebuild and other people's version of an engine rebuild are very different.
Yeah.
So like, especially in the old RX-7 days, people would take apart an engine and rebuild it, but then like put all the same side seals, corner seals, everything. They would like just replace the apex seals, not replace anything else. And then like, oh, it's a rebuilt engine, you know? And it's like, yeah. You know, to me, a rebuild is like, I'm going to replace every seal that's on that rotor. Yeah. And if I don't replace every seal on the rotor, I'm not going to say it's been rebuilt. I'm going to say I got in there to fix some stuff, but I didn't rebuild it, you know? It's just, everybody has their own like backyard definition of engine rebuild, right? Front rotor compression, ideally less depression results here. Yeah, that one's pretty consistent. 80, 95, 96, 86 corrected. The starter does crank a little bit slow, so it's probably still an 04 starter, which is a little slower. So you'll see the like regular value to corrected value come up. 82 coming up to 95. We'll run it again. '78, 82, 83 uncorrected, 92, 97, 98. So honestly, aside from having one hole down, like not a bad, you know, still not a bad engine, but that still just kind of sucks that it nicked something. I bet it nicked a side seal or a corner seal or something like that, because an apex seal issue would be, you know, you'd have 2 holes dead. Yeah. So less than ideal, but happy to have a result. Yeah.
A result's better than no result.
You're definitely like not gonna really hurt it any worse by driving it. So, you know, if it still really sucks to drive, then obviously don't. But
the next thing is what do I want to do with it? I mean, because I'm not in the. I have a lot of cars. I'm not in the place to spend more money on this thing.
Hit them up. If not, I'm sure somebody on the channel might be interested in a cheap, known, really good RX8 with a bunch of good parts on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part about the car is all the good parts.
Yeah. The thing that's interesting, and like I would attribute my car's reliability to the fact that I just kick the shit out of it all the time. And like these cars, they just aren't really good baby 'em around cars. They really like to be ran hard, you know, like the seals will be happier, everything just stays happier. Yeah. When you really drive them. So ultimately, I think that's why mine lives. Everybody chicken foots their RX-8s, and I'm like over here, like if there was any other TPS value than 100%, that's all that thing sees.
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't make enough power. You know?
This one, I mean, that I don't put around town. I mean, I still drive it hard.
But you can rip an RX-8 and not get speeding tickets. That's like the best part about it.
And the sounds it makes, everything puts a smile on my face every time I drive it.
Okay.
You know, and not just my face. I mean, when it was running good and I took Dad for rides and my buddies for rides, it's like, it really, it was a good car.
Wish I was in the market for another Nordic green RX-8 though, because best color ever. I will fight you.
It really is.
Like the yellow, lightning yellow, cool. Okay, black cherry Shinka, it's a Shinka, so it's cool. Phantom blue is the only other color that's really good. It's like a 07 only color. It's kind of Nordic green with a little more blue, but they're just so hard to find. And then, you know, Phantom blue is a little girly too, like blue, you know, whatever. Green, that's where it's at. It really just sucks that happens, you know? It's like, it's still just, like that probably cold start, hot start's better than a lot of your cars do. It just has the ghost cam. Man, such a good car for one little thing. Little thing. All right. Does power steering not work?
It is.
A little heavy right there.
Is the light on?
Yeah, the light's on.
Oh. Sometimes the wires need jiggled. That's the first time in over a year that's happened too.
Yeah. It's just crazy though, like. It just revs so clean for it to have a hole that's down, you know what I mean? Like, we did the compression test twice, so we know that's the real number. You can hear it cranking over funny. Man. Such a shame. One of these days my car will do that too, and then I'll be sad and I'll have to take it apart. But I'm just hoping that mine like grenades the whole thing and apex seals or rotors fly out the side and like it's just catastrophic. failure. So, well, Perry, I wish I could have given you better
That's
news,
okay.
but
It happens.
when the depression tester comes out, that's generally what we get. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I wish, obviously, there was a ton more of stuff we'd fix and ideally get the car fixed, but sometimes, like, that's the way of the world. Things break, and it's part of it, you know? So I'm happy that Perry's got the news now, and if he doesn't sell it to somebody he knows, keep watching the videos, because I'll let you know if this car is for sale. So with that, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks
for being a part of the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Live a life you don't need a vacation from. Peace. I can tell you, though, you never really remember how small Miatas are whenever you're around RX-7s all the time. This thing's just so short compared to the big passenger extended cab sports truck RX-8s. Peace, guys.